and answers.
Okay, so Catherine, thanks a million for a very, very informative presentation. Really, really useful nuggets of information in there, particularly for people setting up, but also for people more established who are looking to scale up or take on people. You mentioned there in relation to the administration, the admin role. I'd advise people not to underestimate the time associated with doing that and the importance of doing it correctly. You know, I'd go so far as to say, if you don't get that right, you know, you're really going to struggle to ever get a regular structure set up about your work-life balance. Now, it doesn't have to be an elaborate system. I think you and I are cut from the same cloth. I use a paper diary. I use Excel for a lot of stuff, client bases, worksheets, all that kind of stuff. Find that very, very important. A question, I know there are a few questions there that popped in, but just by way maybe of an opening gambit, you had mentioned there that it's important to employ maybe family members. Is there any particular reason for that? Is that just you have access to kind of
No, I don't mean you should, but it was one part.
No, but if you were going to, that maybe that's an obvious thing to do. Is that what you meant?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of self-employed people, that is one of, at the back of their mind when they set up as self-employed, they sometimes think down the line that they'll, you know, have employment for one of their children, or maybe they're, you know, maybe the spouse has been minding the kids or whatever, and they may be employed later on. So it can be very advantageous to be self-employed and to be able to do that. And of course, you can employ your children from a younger age. You know,
what age is that? Do you know?
I think it's around 14, but it's only so many hours a week. You know, and it's then, I mean, who's checking? But you're not going to be having them like, you know,
it caught my attention because I know a lot of people who are doing that, both not only exclusively BER assessors, but I do know a lot of people who do employ sons and daughters or whoever, who show a bit of interest in maybe what's going on in the business. So
well, in the early days, it might be not very, you know, there mightn't be a lot of paperwork attached to it, but later on, you know, you can streamline them into employment. But there are definitely rules about how many hours. As far as I know, it's 19 hours or something if they're 14 to 16, and then it's 25 hours. You know, there's some legislation about the amount of hours.
Yeah. I'll pop you over there to Stephen. Are there a couple of questions there, Stephen?
Yeah, there is a couple coming in, and some of them coming in private as well. I suppose a couple of people have said, "Oh God, the tax things went very quick there."
Sorry,
and I know that's fine. I mean, you tried to cover so much there, and we had to kind of give it a wide sweep, so we couldn't get into it. But Catherine sent me on some of them videos in advance, and they're very good, and they do get to really precise questions that I would have had in the past, or still actually have. So I think that we'll have to take this presentation possibly as the lecture, and the homework has to come later.
Yeah, but can I just say a quick thing on tax? And like the tax thing comes up every time I'm dealing with entrepreneurs. I'm going to call you entrepreneurs. Tax to me is very simple. Keep your tax aside, end of story. And people are like, oh, this tax, that tax. No, you just have to keep your tax aside. I'm still dealing with an accountant who's borrowing to pay his tax. So keep your tax aside. It is painful. It's a bit like, you know, any kind of saving money. You've just it will have to be paid. There is no way out of it. And I think a lot of people are always asking the questions about tax because they're hoping I'll come up with some new answer. There is no new answer. If you're in business, you must pay your tax. And if you're self-employed, you're more likely to get someone knocking on your door than anybody else, unfortunately, because you know, you're more, because you're an individual, you're more easy to spot.
Yeah, it was never your money. It's not your money. It was never your money.
It's not your money, unfortunately. And you can, I mean, people do use it for cash flow. I did myself at the beginning, and you kind of have to, you know, you don't have the money that you might have a little bit later on, but still always keep something. Don't have nothing in the pot coming up to, you know, October and November, and, you know, you just have to do it. And I think that's why I get so many questions about tax, is people want me to give a different answer the next time. There is no different answer. I could go back and do 50 slides on tax, and I'll have to say the same thing. You must keep your money aside for tax payment.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the questions are kind of around that question that a lot of us have, sole trader thing, and that's covered in a lot of them videos. And somebody was asking about VAT thresholds as well. Obviously, if you go over the threshold, I guess then it is an issue. You have to become registered for VAT. I know that when I got to that stage, the revenue website has a lot of information on that. I know.
It's
I'll move on quickly. I'm just thinking of the clock here a little bit. There was a question there. Is there help out there through the likes of Leo and other organizations, specifically in areas like, you know, advice on employment and any tax that might be gained by taking on employees? You know, is there offers out there? Digitalization, I suppose, maybe like Leo training on getting into Google Business, because that's quite hard to get your head around that. And the last point they put there was, is there grants associated? And I suppose by grants, what they mean is tax incentives that you might be able to gain by, I guess, the employment, and possibly, I guess, I know the website development, there were grants for that. Are there also grants available, would you know, Catherine, for digitalization?
There are grants. The digitalization, there is a grant for setting up a website or getting on the digital platform. The grant is up to 2,500 or half of what you pay. Sometimes the problem is that people get very high quotes then for websites, you know, when they may be able to get them done. That's up to yourself, but there are grants, and Leo are moving more towards digitalization in terms of grants. At the moment, for digitalization with Leo, you'll get more mentoring. So you may get a specific mentor who's very good at social media, digitization, advising. So you get free time with that person, free business clinics up to 12 hours. It can be extended to 24 hours, full time with this person, either come into your premises or face to face, and they'll give you some advice. There's also some very good free mentoring for lean, for making your business more lean, more sustainable. So there are grants available. I would definitely look up your local Leo website and see what's available. And there's some great free courses on digitization, social media, start your own business. And a lot of those deal with the tax issues and all the things that are available to you through the revenue. Everything's available on the revenue website, but it's always helpful when you have some courses. The start your own business course is 50 euros usually, but it's over 12 weeks, and it's only kind of 1 hour a week or whatever. And then so there are some great supports, definitely, and they're definitely getting a handle now on the digitization.
Brilliant. Yeah.
You're still there, Ollie. Have you got something else?
You mentioned there about mileage and subsistence. That's available on the revenue website as well, I presume?
Yeah.
Has it been updated to reflect kind of current fuel prices?
No, not for self-employed. No, not as far as unfortunately, no.
Yeah. Okay.
Somebody had a more specific question there, I think. Sorry. Oh yeah, somebody pointed out they were using Revolut to take payments, and it sounds like they got a message from Revolut looking for their PPS number. That's interesting one.
That's one of the hesitations I have about Revolut. I've had a few people come to me and say that they have gotten scam texts and they're not sure. I would never give my PPS number, definitely not to Revolut. And as I said, like I haven't started using it myself. I did download the app, and then I had some hesitation because there was a lot of bad press about it. And yet there's a whole load of people, like I said, when I was in Mullingar at the conference, nobody had cash. Everyone was, I'll Revolut you.
Okay, so you think that was a scam rather than some sort of banking system where, okay, you're clearly using this as a payment. We need to have your PPS. You think that was, when you say it like that, it does sound like.
I wouldn't give my PPS. That's me personally, but I don't know. Like I definitely think I wasn't happy that they didn't get an Irish bank account. I think they've that sorted now. The bank. So like, I'm not saying anything bad about Revolut. It's phenomenal. It's taking over everywhere. Some of you will probably have to start using it as a way of payment, but there are other options as well. I think the sum up option is very good. People are happier sometimes when they put their card into a machine. So I know you have subscription charge. You know, there's a charge attached to those then. So
Yeah, the overwhelming advice, I'm sure, is however you get paid, make sure you get paid.
make sure you
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
the
so look
biggest
at
single problem that I come up against is
yeah,
people
for
not getting
sure,
paid.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Very, very difficult. I would say though, as BR assessors, and for those of you maybe who are starting up or even more established, you know, we use the BR sort as leverage. It doesn't leave the office until it's paid for.
Oh
And
yeah,
if
that's
you
a
know, if
good
that's
one.
done
Yeah.
on the day or if it's done a month later, that's what it is. And auctioneers and the like that we deal with, they've become accustomed to that system, and you know, we make no apology for it.
That's a good. That's a
That's the
very good
leverage
idea.
we
Yeah.
use. So look at if there is there anything else there, Stephen?
I don't think that there was one more specific one. It was
Go on,
I'm a
shoot.
sole trader.
Yeah.
Mike McAvoy said, I'm a sole trader and I work full-time PAYE. I don't know what my tax situation will be with this additional income. So I assume he's trading as a BR assessor on the side. He
Yeah.
obviously doesn't need them weekends and things that Catherine spoke about. So
It doesn't come in that category.
Look, I'm no tax expert, but I presume you make so much money from your job and then it's 40% tax on top of that.
Yeah, whatever he earns are over the amount. Like, let's say he's still in the lower tax bracket in his regular job, then he'll still pay until he hits the threshold. So yeah, like you're exactly right. Whatever you earn is on top of your PAYE earnings. It's not taken separately at a low percentage. It's taken, and then once you hit the threshold to get into the 40% tax bracket, that's what you're paying.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
No, I think that's it. We will obviously send
So look,
around,
we could
send around that full presentation and all the slides. There's links to it, and we'll say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could chat here for the day about this. It's really, really interesting. And so look at, thanks again, Catherine. Fantastic presentation. Really, really good. Thanks to Stephen and the CPT team for organizing this event. I'd encourage you all to keep in contact with our Facebook page and our website and our emails and our newsletters, etc. We run CPD events very regularly. As I said at the outset, this is probably our first departure from non-technical side of it, but I think it's been very, very worthwhile. Something I think we'll have to consider expanding on in the future as well. So thanks again to everybody.